What's up, everybody? John Eric Poli here with my MMA news, and today's guest will be fighting Ryoji Kudo at PFL Playoffs 3. That, of course, it is a featherweight semifinal. Today's guest is Bubba Jenkins. Before we welcome Bubba in here, just want to remind everybody with that fight that we're going to be discussing here today. Fight date's August 20th. Those fights are in London, so just be aware of a time change there. I believe it's going to be starting around 3 o'clock Eastern, the main card is, so just make sure you guys kind of check your local time zones and see what time the fights will be that day. Again, August 20th, it's the fight date. Anyway, let's welcome Bubba in here. Bubba, thanks for doing this, man. Really appreciate the time here today. Really looking forward to today's conversation. We have a great one in store for everybody. We've been talking a lot with college wrestling and whatnot, so thanks for being here, man. Really appreciate the time.
What's up, my man? Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, no problem at all. So let's kind of start getting right into everything here. I'm a big fan of the PFL for this main reason here, and that's the fact of it's such a cutthroat thing to get as far as you are right now because a loss pretty much really in a way sets you back. You have to come out, you have to win. Finishes, of course, mean a lot in this. So just for you to get into the spot, to get into the playoffs is something in itself here with no margin for error. Just talk about this and how this road has been for you to now do this 2 straight years. It's a very difficult thing. So just talk about what this journey's been like through the PFL so far.
Yeah, man, it's been an awesome journey. Like you said, PFL has a different structure than a lot of other mixed martial arts organizations, and you gotta love, it mattering every time we're out there. You gotta love. I mean, me and Dewey were sitting in the back at the last event trying to calculate if this guy wins or if that guy loses, or it's really take care of your job, try to get the job done with a high efficiency rate. You try to knock them out there the best way you can. You try to dominate the best way you can because a 3-round victory, a guy who dominates a 3-round victory and a guy who gets a split decision, those differ in the seedings. And I know we start the tournament with 10 to probably 10 guys, but probably, 5 to 10 alternates. People get hurt during the tournament and we go back to back. So, there's probably 20 guys with their name trying to claim the title, and only 4 go to the semifinals. So like you said, it's a very difficult task. And, we just been fortunate enough to be good enough to be in front of the game the whole way that we've had. And we get to this point and we usually try to, keep our focus. Semifinals, I've been in a number of semifinals in my time. And I would say my semifinals record is as good as John Jones' title record. So last year we dropped the ball a little bit, but this year we're looking to pick up those mistakes and get going August 20th, man. I'm actually excited for not only the date, the town we're in, being in London and having some British and English people fight on the card. I want to see how this soccer crowd plays into some of their favorite fighters being on the card and things like that. So I'm pretty excited, man. I'm going to put on the show, and y'all better get there early because I don't think it's going all 3 rounds.
Well, we're looking forward to the matchup. And before we get into specifics on that, I do want to ask you one other thing kind of about this whole playoff format and whatnot. You kind of alluded to it there, how you're great in semifinals throughout your whole entire career, that be wrestling or now in MMA. But you did mention, right, you had the little slip up last year. Did you take anything from that experience? Obviously, it was your first year in the PFL, first time in their format, first time in the semifinal. Is there anything that you took away from that experience of losing in the semifinals last year?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Everybody getting paid to fight is a pro, so you got to take it. You got to make sure that you're there, you're professional, you're locked in, you're focused on the task at hand. With the tournament being in the style that it is, they pay us pretty well. I mean, I don't know if they pay all of us pretty well, but I'm getting paid pretty well. So when it comes to, having that, those finances and then having that small break or having that small window of opportunity to get ready for your next fight, I would say I mishandled some of those things last year and just juggling stardom and juggling the things that are going on in life and juggling, advancing in the tournament and having it be so quickly back to back as far as mixed martial arts go, not necessarily far quickly back to back is a wrestling field, but in mixed martial arts, we're fighting every 4 times. If you get to the finals, you're fighting 4 times, and in what is 5 6 months. So it's a tough road, but I've learned how to have those balances, have those ebb and flows. The lows can't be too low when you're in there, and your highs can't be too high because there's another task at hand. So you got to stay locked in. It's a season. Unlike other organizations, and unlike others, no, I say, and more like other sports, you have an off season and an on season, and no, and when it's on, it's on. You have to be completely locked in, and that's something that I miscalculated and misjudged last year. But this year we've kept the focus and the conditioning and the mindset and the focus and the training and everything that goes with being prepared is absolutely on par.
Yeah, and you just kind of summed everything up kind of perfectly there. One other thing I wanted to ask you, like along all of those lines. So you mentioned obviously it's a season, exactly like we kind of opened up talking about their whole format, right? When we watch other different promotions, whether that be a UFC, a Bellator, or whoever, a lot of times it's hard to see guys fight twice in a year. Never mind 4 5 6 times in a year. So when you're in this type of season that you're in, like how exactly do you keep your body fresh and ready and always healthy enough to go in there and do what you got to do?
Well, man, shout out to Asia's Cryo. Shout out to my man Matt. Shout out to the team. I got that LeBron James, Tom Brady effect where you got to take care of the body outside the cage. You got to spend a lot of good money to make sure you're back on the tracks. The wheels got to keep turning when you're in the tournament. And even if you have a kink in the spoke, or you have something going on with the fuel or the engine lights, you got to make sure you can get on the track. And it's imperative to have the right people around you, that have the right physical recovery team, to have the right supplements and things like that. So it's a task, but it's one that you have to be professional about. So that's the focus, is making sure you get back, make sure you stretch, make sure you're in the hot colds and the hot subs, and doing all the right things.
All right, so let's get into the specifics of this fight now. You're in training camp right now. Just how's your camp going?
Camp's going great, man. I don't even listen to my heart or my words anymore because Dewey is a Hall of Famer. Dewey's seen them all. He's coached champions in boxing, kickboxing, and in mixed martial arts. So when he says that I'm ready, I don't even check in with myself anymore. Dewey says I'm ready. I'm ready. I don't second guess anything. So he's been saying that I'm looking sharp. This Bubba Jenkins would beat the last Bubba Jenkins in the last fight, and these are the things that I'm just hearing him say. That I'm saying, okay, I'm here punching the clock. I go where you say go. I run when you say run, and I punch when you say punch. And when you say that I'm ready because you've seen them all, I'm going to go ahead and sign my name behind that and co-sign with Dewey. Dewey says I'm ready. I'm ready.
And speaking of Dewey, right, what a great coach too to have in your corner there. You mentioned all the experience and accolades that he's had there. Just talk a little bit of kind of what it's been like working with him, especially the last few months. I know we had this conversation off air, but you could explain to everybody. I know there's some movement going on, right? You guys just kind of getting settled into your own gym and whatnot. So just kind of explain a little bit about that and what that kind of moving parts have been like.
Yeah, man. Dewey Cooper is a legend in the game. He's been here in Vegas, and once I got with him, he was training. Just going where people want him to go. I mean, he's a sought after guy, and we were at One Kick Knicks, and just recently we opened up our own spot. We're BK MMA, BKSS, Black Cobra Striking System. Dewey's spearheading and leading the whole thing to that. And I understand that we are trying to build a house of champions, a system of champions. We are at Split T Boxing. We just opened up. We partner with Split T Boxing. I'm obviously going to be doing my wrestling program out of there. Dewey's going to be doing the striking system. Again, I mentioned One Kick Knicks. He's back together with us and Dewey. And, I don't even know the name of our, ultimate gym as far as what we're going to have it. But the names that are in there and the coaches that we have in there, when we get a name, people are going to start knowing it. So right now we're just BKSS at Split T Boxing, and we're growing. So we're excited about the new digs, the new gym, and here on my page I'll be posting a couple little things here soon. So you guys be looking out for that. But we're at a new spot here in Vegas, and we're excited. One come on, we got open doors.
Yeah, that's a lot to look forward to there. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of big names coming out of that gym. Can't wait to see what it all produces when it's all said and done. But let's continue on the road here. We'll get into real specifics now. Here, you've been obviously scouting an opponent here. Just tell us about him and what you've kind of seen out of him. What's it going to take to get a win on fight night?
Yeah, man, we've been scouting Kudo. I'm excited, like I said, about the things that he brings to the table and the type of fight that will happen will manifest through his style and my style. I'm pretty excited that I got this matchup. It allows me to have that Lockney or Wade opportunity next. I'm actually excited because the Lockney fight is in London, where he's from, and then of course I want Wade more than I want the belt. So yeah, there's that aspect to it. But Kudo is a formidable opponent. I'm excited to go in there. He does have a loss in the tournament to Brandon Lockney, so that's something that I believe makes him a little bit more dangerous. But I believe that this is going to be one-way traffic. I'm on a one-way street. I'm headed towards that belt, and he just happens to be in the way. So give me my kudos and get out the way.
And I did catch something in that answer that's like a perfect segue into my next question that I wanted to ask you about. And it was going to be a curiosity question. Now I guess I kind of know the answer here. And it was going to be when you're in something like this, a lot of times in sports, in these tournaments, you do kind of, you take obviously focus on, the task at hand, but you do kind of peek a little bit, looking at other matchups, who you think's going to happen, who you going to face. Number one, it was going to be, well, do you do that? But you said, right, you hope that it's Chris Wade that advances out of there. So just how much do you kind of look at that matchup, and are you preparing for it to be Chris and to have a rematch of what happened in last year's semifinal?
Well, it's a two-way answer because I want the Chris Wade fight just so I can revenge the loss. Any real champion wants to revenge the loss. But matchup wise, I think I would do a much better job against a Brandon Lockney who doesn't really have the strong wrestling background. So to be honest with you, I'll take any one of them European boys on the other side of the bracket. They can all get it. I'm a bad man, and they can get it anytime they want it, especially if there's $1 million on the line. Because I'm taking out family members for that. So definitely taking out one of them boys. But yeah, I still focus on Kudo. Don't get it twisted. I'm focused on Kudo, but I took a loss to Wade, and me and Brendan have been, yapping at each other for 2 years now. So being in the tournament, being in what we had as the COVID season, having to be there in quarantine, you kind of get to know these people a little bit. You kind of see their characteristics, and I like Brendan. I wouldn't mind punching him in the face, and I'm sure he would do the same to me. So I'm hoping he has a great show. I'm gonna get my fight out of the way, and me and Dewey are gonna put our dreadlocks in a ponytail and sit off to the side and watch the championship of the semifinals in this round, because after we get our job done, we're just looking at one of those other two, and I have already been training for both of them. So I'm more than ready to see not only what that night holds, but who comes out on top dog.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be a fun night of fights for that one, and I'm sure you'll definitely have your eyes on the other matchup there as well. One other thing about this one before we move on to some other topics, fights are in London. Just how much are you looking forward to kind of going overseas and taking in the little European scenery there, and you get to make a little vacation out of it?
Yeah, no, I love traveling, man. That's one of the reasons why I went to certain organizations. People wanted me to be in the UFC and do all this type of stuff, and I actually liked the power that I was gaining, and the notoriety and the fans that I was gaining when I was doing a lot of mixed martial arts overseas in the Middle East and stuff like that. So when I won one of my Brave titles, it happened to be in London. I thought I saw somewhere that it might actually be at the same arena. So it's familiar to me. Me going to London and winning a world title, or me going to London and winning, is not something that is foreign. So we're going to stick with what we had in history and make it the future.
All right, so now I do want to move outside the cage here a little bit, talk about a few other things. First of which, if I saw this correctly, were you born in Germany? Is that correct?
Frankfurt, FG, shout out Frankfurt, Germany. My dad was a big entrepreneur. We moved a lot, but yeah, it wasn't a military thing either. So it was my dad just happened to be an entrepreneur. We lived in Germany. I didn't actually even go to America until I was 4 or 5 years old. I mean, I went to kindergarten, and my first schooling was in German school. So
So now, do you ever rock the whole like German citizenship? Because you probably have a dual citizenship, right? That you were born over there?
I've been actually. I'm so my bloodline is from Ghana. I was born in Frankfurt, and I'm actually American. So I'm trying to work on triple citizenship, but I do not. As my parents came back, I don't have dual citizenship in Germany. I'm actually working on dual citizenship in Ghana because I'm actually building out there with some folks. But I would, the way America's running right now, it's good to be dual citizen, double up everywhere. I might need to go to Ghana or Germany right now. So it's good to just be in a place where I have traveled and I'm well sourced and well seen.
Awesome, man. That's really cool stuff there. And then obviously, right, so you do come over to America. You said like 4 or 5 years old there. Then obviously, we're going to skip now to the good old college wrestling days that a lot of people remember you from. Your career started off at Penn State. Obviously, you did go on to win the national championship at Arizona State. We'll get to that kind of in a second. But I do want to start with the Penn State thing. I went to school close by in Lock Haven. I know you guys used to beat up on us in wrestling there. But what? Yeah, I'm currently sitting in Scranton. This degree right behind me is from Lock Haven University. Obviously, right close by to where Penn State's at. Just talk about why you ended up choosing to go to Penn State originally and what that whole decision process was like. Because you were from Virginia, correct? You went to high school in Virginia. So how'd you end up in?
Yeah, I'm
in
a
Penn
Virginia
State?
boy for sure. Penn State came calling. I mean, I was one of the top recruits, if not the number one recruit in the country. And I had so many people, knocking on my doors and to come to recruiting visit, to come here, to come there. And, when Matt Derlin sat on my couch and told my mom all these promises that he was going to deliver for me, he probably was one of the most honest and most true to himself beings that I've ever met as a coach. He's still one of my favorite coaches and one of my favorite people to this day. And Pennsylvania is very close to Virginia, so it wasn't like me going all the way across the country as I eventually did in Arizona, but it was, me still being close enough home in the beginning, fresh out of high school. There was some there were some schools that didn't like who I was or didn't want me to be who I am, and Penn State accepted that in the beginning. With the recruiting class that I came in with, we were the top recruiting class, and we put on a show. The year that I lost in the finals, we took third as a team, and that was our highest place at there. But for 4 years we had the highest recruiting class. So Pennsylvania is the mecca, in my belief, of high school wrestling that prepares people to go to Penn State or to wherever their school is. You wrestle in Pennsylvania, that's playing football in Texas. That's, running track in Florida. That's the mecca of the mecca. That's being a point guard in New York. That's where you do it at. And so being there and being the face of that and knowing that is the height of it, I wanted to be in the mix. And, Penn State gave me that full ride. I love Joe Paterno. Had a great conversation, great talk. I spent most of my recruiting visit with Joe Pa. So that was one of the things that, really secured me going there. And Phil Davis, of course, was my host on my recruiting visit. So, that him being a national champ and a future MMA star made it very easy for me to see my future.
Now, was James Woodall at Penn State in that stretch or no?
Yeah,
Okay, he was one of the gym teachers when I was in high school. Believe it or not, Pittston, PA. Pittston, PA, representing. So another thing with that too, right? First off, number one, you said that perfectly with how good Pennsylvania is in wrestling. And for everybody out there to tell you how good it is in wrestling, I had a friend that I went to college with. He was supposed to walk on at Lock Haven, ended up blowing out his elbow, but when he was in high school, he didn't even medal in states. I think he finally made it to states maybe his senior year, but he had like 132 wins, but still no state medal to show for it. Pins a state champ down in Florida. That's how good our state is in wrestling. And like you said, you were the face of it and all of that. But one thing then was I want to ask, what kind of led to the whole Arizona State thing, right? Because Cael Sanderson kind of came in. We know what he's done there now, but what was it that kind of when he came in kind of let you to maybe go out the door and and doing your thing at Arizona State?
Yeah, man, that goes down in history as a thing where he, me and him just didn't agree what was going on at the time. I happened to be I would say junior coming into that year, and I was redshirting. I had, some school. I would say I was ineligible, purposely ineligible, so I can get, I can force a redshirt year and things like that. And it was just a sign of the times that we weren't compatible. He was coming in, bringing his own, his own mindset, his own thoughts, his own Iowa State flow, and who he was. He's the best winner in NCAA ever. So he had his own regime that he was trying to usher in, and I was the captain of the old team, and without a head coach, I was pretty much the guy running the program. Whether it was summer practices or stretches or whatever it was, I was captain of the team. So there was a clash there when he came in and heard who I was and what I was doing, and we just didn't get along, and I had to find a school outside the top 15 that he would release me to, and that they would allow my transcripts to go to. And once we found that school, they did that, and I was still ineligible. I had to get a petition signed to become eligible to get twice as many credits in the summertime that anyone else could get. And they allowed that petition. We got the credits. We finished with a 4.0 in that season or that semester, and we were allowed to go to Arizona State and represent the Sun Devils. So once doing that, we went ahead and prepared ourselves for whatever that Big Ten or that organization over there was going to bring.
So now, right, relationships are funny, and it's funny how things work out. There's obviously, you said, like, a clash of styles there, clash of personality a little bit. Now, like, when I did track in college, I only did it for 2 years. Maybe when my coach coached the athlete, I don't think I was the biggest fan, but like now, I have a great relationship with that coach. That we're just human to human. Did you and Cael ever get it straightened out, or
Oh yeah,
kind of not a
me and
thing?
Cael got no beef now. Me and Cael are we ain't the best of friends, but I did an exhibition wrestling match a couple of years ago while I was wrestling North, and we kind of squashed the beef. Then their team reached out to me to put on this exhibition, and with the bad blood that was in the water for so many years, and how I won, and me getting the better end of the stick. Not too many people can say they got one up on Cael. I'm one of the few that's been like, yeah, my name sits up there with one that's like Cael 107, 159 and 0, Cael 9 national championships, Cael this. But when it comes to Cael versus Bubba 1, Cael 0. So when it comes to that, that's where we're at. But no, we're straight. We're friends. We're cool. It's all great now. It's all
And
great.
I'll tell you, that's the ultimate accomplishment too, because not too many people could say that they have a one-up on him there. I do want to end just with this college wrestling conversation. One other thing, I know you mentioned Arizona State, how great it was to transfer out there and whatnot, but just talk about that season and what that was like for you. Obviously, coming up to that point, you were close to a national title twice before that. You couldn't lock it down. Obviously, you go and not only win the national title, but you beat David Taylor. That's another person that's, to say you have a victory over in big stage with that is a huge accomplishment as well. So what was just that last year at Arizona State like?
Well, I got two wins over two Olympic champions. That's all I want to say. I have beaten 11 national NCAA national champions, a couple world champions, but that's neither here nor there. What we're talking about is the ultimate victory, which was that year I had so much riding on the chip on my shoulder, me being the guy at Arizona State now, and me shipping west. It was almost like going out of the public view, being out there in Arizona when Iowa, Nebraska, and everyone, Ohio is all, the Big Ten wrestling is going on and the season is going on. It's almost like I was shipped out to oblivion where no one would see me or hear from me again. And then, we just stayed focused. We stayed locked in. We had some surgeries go on. We had some, dealing with what Arizona State is. If you know anything about Arizona, Phoenix, Tempe, that's a hard ball to juggle, trying to be an athlete and be, the locked in student. And, me being a senior, I had a little bit more leeway, and me being a national finalist and All-American, I had some posters up. So, there was some motivation for sure, but, to stay in line, to stay focused, to stay locked in, even through surgeries, even through, school competitions and things like that. It was a trying year, but it's a storybook ending, man. The tournament happens to be in Philly, happened to be back in Pennsylvania, happened to be in front of the crowd that used to root for me. And, it was a completely blue and white white crowd that night. That was, Cael Sanderson's first national championship as a team with the team that I recruited. 98% of those kids I took on their recruiting visit, things like that. So I signed that team that he won with. So that's my team. They should send me a ring, but that's neither here nor there. It was the ultimate win. It was what you would think of when you talk about karma or revenge or that comeback story, that underdog, that feeling, that moment, that opportunity that I had was exactly what you dream of when you're like, you know what, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna revenge that. You killed my dog. I'm coming back for your cat. You took my son out. I'm coming back for your wife. Whatever it was that has happened to you, it's the greatest comeback and revenge story that you could write, especially in my book in NCAA wrestling.
Yeah, man, that is a career defining moment there. Not too many people could say that. And I mean, just what a career overall for you there in the sport of wrestling. You're off to a hell of a start in your MMA career, too, as well. One other thing, though, while we're on this whole topic with wrestling and MMA and whatnot, I want to ask you about kind of a hot topic recently with Bo Nickel kind of getting his shot here coming up on Dana White's Contender Series. I got to speak with Bo about a year ago. He opened up a gym out by Penn State there at ATT Happy Valley. It was a great conversation too. Bo's a great guy. Just want to get your thoughts as a fellow wrestler, now MMA guy, just how you think Bo's going to do with his career.
Well, I'm excited for Bo. I'm happy for anybody who's a wrestler, NCAA wrestler, coming from that background, going into mixed martial arts. All the best to them. It's a tough road. It's not as easy, I believe, as most people think. I think there's a lot of wrestlers who have gotten into mixed martial arts and realized it's a different sport. It's not just, a couple punches added on to NCAA wrestling. There's a lot of nuances that go into it. So all the best to him. May he have a great career, but it ain't how quick you start, and it ain't how fast you start, and it ain't who you start in the beginning. It's longevity, and the best ability is availability. So we're gonna see. I'm excited to see what his career ends up being, and all the best to any wrestler that comes out of the NCAA and goes into mixed martial arts. I'm rooting for you. I'm there with you, and yeah, I'm in Vegas, so y'all need to see me. Come see me.
Wrestling community sticking strong. Love to see it there, man. So one last thing now before you roll out, go ahead, plug your social media, management, sponsors, anybody you got to give a shout out to. Take it away.
Shout out to, like I said, Ageless Cryo. They help me with my body. Shout out to Yakim, that's my clothing brand. Shout out to My High Jewelry. Go get you some bling. It's always a good idea. And shout out to the PFL for putting me in this opportunity, put me on the stage. Shout out to Dominance, my man Ali Abdelaziz, man. He's my agent. He's the best in the game. Not another man like him. So I appreciate that guy. And y'all can find me wherever you look for me. Bubba Jenkins Instagram, Bubba Jenkins Twitter. We don't change much, and we ain't hard to find. We don't block nobody, and we definitely accept all requests. So you come question my skills, you get an answer.
All right, Bubba, thanks so much for all the time here today, man. Really appreciate it. It was a great conversation. We covered a lot of ground. Really appreciate you being open and honest with a lot of that, especially with that college wrestling conversation there. So thank you for all the time, and thank you to the viewers out there watching today's interview. I appreciate everyone that watches these. Please, if you like today's interview, please go to the bottom. Make sure you give it a big thumbs up there. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. And MyMMANews.com. Make sure you guys are checking out the website. Also, go to our social media pages, give us a like and a follow on there as well. We'll see you later, everybody.